To impress the subconscious with a desirable state, you must assume the feeling that would be yours had you already realized your wish. In defining your objective, you must be concerned only with the objective itself. The manner of expression or the difficulties involved are not to be considered by you. To think feelingly on any state impresses it on the subconscious. Therefore, if you dwell on difficulties, barriers, or delay, the subconscious, by its very non-selective nature, accepts the feelings of difficulties and obstacles as your request and proceeds to produce them in your outer world. The subconscious is the womb of creation. It receives the idea unto itself through the feeling of man. It never changes the idea received, but always gives it form. Hence, the subconscious outpictures the idea in the image and likeness of the feeling received. To feel a state as hopeless or impossible is to impress the subconscious with the idea of failure. Although the subconscious faithfully serves man, it must not be inferred that the relation is that of a servant to a master, as was anciently conceived. The ancient prophets called it the slave and servant of man. St. Paul personified it as a woman and said the woman should be subject to a man in everything. The subconscious does serve man and faithfully gives form to his feelings. However, the subconscious has a distinct taste for compulsion and responds to persuasion rather than to command. Consequently, it resembles the beloved wife more than the servant. After reading Neville's passage from Feeling is the Secret, the question still remains by a lot of people. What is thinking feelingly? From my personal experience, when Neville Goddard talks about think feelingly, he is talking about thinking from the end of whatever your desire is. How would you feel if you had it? How would you feel if you already had whatever you desired? Would you be happy? Would you be jumping up and down? Would you move around excited and not be down in the dumps, no longer depressed? That's what he means. You have to know how you're going to feel and submerge yourself into that feeling. If you had that new car, how would you feel? How would that car smell? How would you feel holding those new sets of keys in your hand? How would your significant other look at you? How will the car dealer look at you? You got to take all those emotions in. Another example is if you got that new house, how would your family feel? Or that new job, how excited would you be to sign those documents? Everything it revolves around that feeling, the feeling that you get. The feeling that you get once you reach a goal that you've really been trying to accomplish. That's the feeling. That's thinking feelingly. Thinking from the end of whatever you're trying to acquire. The big question that many of you may have about this is how would you know how to feel about something if you have never had it? The answer to that is your imagination. Everything starts with your imagination. And when I say everything, I mean literally everything. Think of it like this. There's no idea that came about without a thought. That building or house started out as just a thought. Somebody used their imagination to think about what that design would look like, and then they created it. That new car that you love started out as an idea, ended up on an assembly line, then it was created for you to drive in. That new dress that you love started out as somebody's idea in their imagination, and then it was created and you purchased it. That meal that you love in your favorite restaurant or at your mother's house, it all started in their imagination, then they created it. That favorite social media app that you utilize every day, it started out in somebody's imagination, and then they created it. Everything that we can think about in the world was created by imagination. So when you hear Neville talk about thinking feelingly, use your imagination to think of how you would feel or react if you already had that desire in which you were trying to acquire.